The OnePlus Watch has just launched, and as Huawei has proven, there's clearly a market for affordable fitness tracking smartwatches. I'm Cam Bunton from Pocket-lint, and in this video I'm going to compare the OnePlus Watch to arguably its closest competition, the Huawei Watch GT 2e. While you're here, if you like this video, please do hit that thumbs up, subscribe and tap the notification bell because that would be just peachy. So starting off with what's different between these two watches, and mostly it's in the design. Because quickly rushing through the similarities, both of them in my testing have very similar battery life. After about 10 days, I was down to about 35% on both. Screen size and resolution is identical too, with both featuring a 1.39-inch AMOLED panel with the same 454 by 454 resolution. Refresh rate seems similarly low on both as well, with that being one of the main reasons the battery life is so long. And while they both feature that completely round display, the case design is quite different. Huawei has gone with a much more angular and straight edge design, with OnePlus opting for a more minimal round case. But the bit that makes the difference is the lug design. OnePlus's design is pretty universal, so you can switch out the strap for pretty much any other as long as it's the right size. Huawei's makes it harder because it angles that lug into the strap to create a seamless look. So finding one that matches will be a challenge. When it comes to software, the two are similar here as well, although you can tell Huawei's been at this game a little longer. They both run their own proprietary software and link to a health-focused smartphone app, and feature simple widgets that you swipe across to, allowing you to glance at basic information like your heart rate or weather or daily activity or even last night's sleep. Swiping down from the top reveals the settings tiles, swiping up from the bottom reveals unread notifications, and pressing and holding the watch face lets you change it. It's all pretty standard stuff. Now, while both let you view smartphone notifications, they're not the most interactive watches when it comes to replying to them. Neither of them really offers much in the way of interaction, so it's very much a case of getting them on your wrist, quickly checking, and then, if it's important, get your phone out to reply. It has to be said though that with the OnePlus I regularly felt a vibration for notification, but then nothing showed up, or the watch would randomly disconnect from the phone. Huawei's didn't seem to have that issue. Neither of these watches support any popular streaming services, so you can't listen to your music that you want to on the go, at least not if you're using Spotify or Apple Music or Google Play Music. And neither supports contactless payments either. But saying that, Huawei has started opening up its platform to third-party developers, so that could well change in the near future. Now, another thing in Huawei's favour is its experience. So since launching its first Watch GT, it's added a plethora of watch faces to choose from and even added the option to have an always-on display. Although that will lead to decreased battery life. OnePlus doesn't have those options. There's also the fact that the Huawei Watch will pair with an iPhone, whereas the OnePlus Watch is kind of stuck to Android at the moment, so it's not as open. So it's clear neither of these two is much of a traditional smartwatch, but they do claim to offer great fitness tracking, making them ideal for anyone who's looking for a watch to mainly keep track of daily activity, sleep, and workout records. You get sensors for step counting, heart rate monitoring, blood oxygen saturation, plus GPS for location tracking. In truth though, there's only one of these watches I'd recommend to anyone looking to track exercise and activity, and that's the Huawei. There's no real nice way to put this, but I'll try, and that's just to say the OnePlus is a deeply flawed experience. When it comes to the basics of just step counting, it undercounts consistently against the Huawei. We'd often finish the day with 1,000 fewer steps counted on the OnePlus Watch. Initially, I thought it was because I had the Huawei on my dominant right arm, so I switched so they were both on the same arm and got the same results. I even got to the point of deliberately stepping out 100 steps and checking the step count on the watches multiple times to see how close they were. The OnePlus Watch was always somewhere between 7 and 9 or 10 steps short. That might not seem like much, but when you add it up over a 10,000 step day, you're about 1,000 steps short, meaning you have to do 1,000 steps more to reach your 10,000 step goal if you're someone who cares about that. It was similarly unreliable tracking GPS on running routes. The OnePlus Watch isn't just slow to get locked onto GPS signal in the first place, but seems to frequently lose it. I took both watches along with my trusty Garmin Fenix 6 on a pretty slow and steady 12.5 km route. The Huawei Watch got within about 100 meters of the Garmin, which is pretty normal discrepancy between two different GPS watches. The OnePlus Watch, however, was somehow short by more than 3 kilometers. Looking at the route it tracked, it looks pretty much the same, minus the first kilometer at the beginning that it completely missed, but despite measuring the same route, it didn't measure the correct distance. It wasn't even close. The same thing happened when I took it on one of my regular 10-kilometer routes right at the beginning of testing, and at that point it only measured 7.5 kilometers of those. Of course, when the distance is wrong, your pace chart is completely incorrect as well, so overall, it's really not a great watch for running. In fairness though, when it came to heart rate or cadence and elevation, it was pretty much bang on with the other two watches, showing near enough identical figures for those. But it just didn't get the basic steps and distance right. Those are crucial. Then there's the fact that at this point in time, the Huawei Watch has a much longer list of available activities to track. Although OnePlus is going to update its watch in the near future with a long list of similar workout modes. Another area Huawei shows its experience is in the fitness discovery section. You can load various training plans for running, whether you want to do a 5k or a 10k or even half or full marathons. It's also loaded with various tips to help your training. It's a much more rounded and full offering from Huawei. As for sleep tracking, both are similar here. If you sit on the couch late at night binging Netflix or, like me, go to bed early to read before sleeping, they'll both often mistake that as time asleep. So if you want reliable sleep tracking, it's best just to take it off before you start reading or watching your show, and then putting it back on right before you go to sleep. That way it'll give you an accurate reading of your sleep pattern. On the whole then, at least to me and anyone else who wants smart wristwear as primarily a fitness tracker, there's only one option here. It's the Huawei Watch GT2e. It's the only one of these two I can really recommend. It might be a year older, but it's been much more consistent and reliable in my testing, and when you consider it has similar battery life and features, plus the added bonus of an always-on display, there's really no reason at all to buy the OnePlus Watch when the Watch GT 2e exists. Especially now it's a little older and can be found cheaper too. Now both are pretty limited when it comes to smartwatch stuff like notifications, streaming or contactless payments. So if what you're looking for is more of a traditional smartwatch experience, it may be best looking elsewhere at a Wear OS watch or something from Samsung. I've been Cam, I'm at Cam Bunton on Twitter. You can follow me on there, ask me any questions you like, or use the comments down below. Again, if you like this video, please do hit that thumbs up, it helps us a lot. Subscribe and tap that notification bell. And I'll see you again in the next one. Bye for now.